Star Wars 7x7 episode 2850. It's Saturday, which means it's a What to Watch Now episode, and we're going to be talking about ILM once again, and this time what they put out there for the Rise of Skywalker. Punch it! Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod and this is Star Wars 7x7, your daily dose of Star Wars joy, and thank you so much for joining me for it. So, as I've mentioned in previous episodes where we've looked at ILM stuff, I went through ILM's YouTube channel and picked out the Star Wars videos because they've got videos about a lot of their other work too. So, all the Star Wars related ones, I created a podcast list that sits at our YouTube channel site, so that's youtube.com/SW7x7, and if you go to playlists there, you'll see the ILM playlist, and it includes videos about not only the Rise of Skywalker, but Solo and The Last Jedi and Rogue One and The Force Awakens. So, funnily enough, the Rise of Skywalker, as opposed to other movies, only has one video about it on ILM's YouTube channel, but by golly, it's a good one. In fact, actually, of the other ones that I had watched in this series that we've been talking about over the past few weeks, I really like the Rise of Skywalker one, I think, most of all of them. So they've had things that they call in the spotlight and things that they call behind the magic. The behind the magic ones have been, in some cases, like barely a minute long and not necessarily that detailed. This particular video is 4 minutes long and also has captions explaining what you're seeing, and they go through a whole lot of the different visual effects that happened throughout the movie, the things that they did. They released this on February 4th of 2020, which made it 5 days before the Academy Awards, and they were nominated for Best Visual Effects that year. Unfortunately, they lost to 1917. That was the World War I movie, which I saw and was good, but I gotta say, I know I'm biased. I know I'm Star Wars biased, but the stuff that they showed in this Behind the Magic video is just so remarkable. They show how they did the scenes with Princess Leia, how they brought Carrie Fisher into episode 9 by using the alternate take footage they had from episode 7 in this particular case. Yeah, they probably could have showed you a lot more, but they gave you an example of how, she was in a scene from The Force Awakens and they took her out of it and put her in on Agent Kloss in The Rise of Skywalker, and how they changed her hair and they changed her costume digitally as well. They also give you a little bit about Luke and Leia's training flashback sequence. This is something that I think had been reported at the time, and I don't remember hearing this, but they had to have, of course, stand-in characters for Luke and Leia in that scene, so that way they could then, superimpose Luke and Leia footage. They showed how they used footage of Luke, source footage from The Empire Strikes Back, to help recreate young Luke, and they used source footage from Return of the Jedi, particularly with Carrie Fisher as, her Ewok princess outfit, to recreate her for, the young Leia. But the stand-in actors for it were Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill was actually his own stand-in actor for young Luke, and Billie Lourd was the stand-in actor for Leia. So Carrie Fisher's daughter, Billie Lourd, was the stand-in for that, and you actually get to see her in the helmet with the training gear and stuff, and it's just, it's so cool. You also find out that Babu Frick was not only a practical puppet, but there were half a dozen puppeteers working him, and he had an animatronic head. I think about the Jabba the Hutt puppet for The Last Jedi and how there were 3 people inside the body of Jabba the Hutt, and that's half of what they used to be able to create Babu Frick. It's really mind-blowing. They also talk briefly about the recreation of natural environments, if you will. So there is a computer-generated lightning situation that ILM has and that they used to create those scenes on Exegol, for example. But it sounds like that's something that they already have, basically, where they're like, oh, somebody needs a bunch of lightning? Yeah, we got something for that. That's great. Whereas the fight scene that we have between Kylo and Rey on Kef Bir, according to this video, they had to create an entirely new water system for CG to like create computerized water, ocean craziness around them. Now, they didn't explicitly say like they did, for example, with Rogue One or The Last Jedi, where these things were kind of watermarked as part of the whole for your consideration packaging thing for the Oscars. And again, this thing only came out like 5 days before the Oscars themselves, so probably by that point the Oscars had already been decided. So gee whiz, like the stuff that they were highlighting in here seems like, oh, it should have just taken home the best visual effects statue. Like there's no reason why it couldn't have. And if that sort of thing had been, a little bit more publicly promoted, maybe, but, we're also just starting to, whole ramp up into the whole pandemic situation, and The Rise of Skywalker was not necessarily as as critically well reviewed as its previous counterparts in the Skywalker saga. So yeah, maybe there's a whole lot of baggage that might have affected how that all played out. You also get to see how they did those Orboks, the horses that they got from Kef Bir and that they turned loose on the deck of that Star Destroyer. So they have shots behind the scenes where you get to see those things galloping on set. So basically wherever they built a giant Star Destroyer floor, and there are green walls all around it, and you see a bunch of horses cranking through with stuff on them, and they are digitally altered in post-production to look like, alien horses in the actual movie. So I think that's, the thing that really blew me away about this particular Behind the Magic episode, which is that as opposed to other ILM productions that were put out to hype what they did for the other Star Wars movies, this one seems to cover the gamut. Like those other ones highlighted, say, 2 or 3 particular sequences or remarkable things about a given movie. There's something from every single sequence of the movie practically in this Behind the Magic video, which is really stunning. And it covers the environments, it covers the creatures like that Vexus, the giant snake thing, for example, is also involved in this. It's really amazing. I highly recommend it. And if you want to be wowed by what people do for these movies, the talent level that they bring to create these amazing worlds from a galaxy far, far away, then I highly encourage you to check it out. I'm going to have the link for this one embedded at the blog post for this show's episode at sw7x7.com. It'll be in the show notes as well. I hope you check it out. It's just 4 minutes long. Heck, this podcast takes longer to listen to, but it's the commentary and whatnot. So there you go. That is going to do it for this What to Watch Now episode of the podcast, and that means it's going to do it for this episode of the podcast as well. It just remains for me to say thank you so much for joining me for it as always, and may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.
7x7 is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited, or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright 2021 by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.